Is that a bombed out area? No. Is that Ukraine? No. Is that a third world country? No. That is the result of fifth generational warfare being waged here inside of the United States by its own people against each other. Welcome back, beautiful and amazing human beings. This is Luke Rudowski here of WeAreChange.org, and there is a plethora of absolutely crazy news to get into today, as of course we're going to be giving you a full update to the current situation unfolding right now in Ukraine and geopolitically, which is shaping to be a very disastrous one for everyone involved. What's going on here? What's the latest propaganda? We're going to break all that down along with all the latest news. But of course, the clip that we played in the beginning of this broadcast is just raw, unfiltered video of what's happening inside of the United States, specifically in one of America's biggest city, Philadelphia, where scenes like this are more common than not. All of this as a direct result of horrible government policies that have impacted the poorest amongst us the most, and in the worst of ways, this as the same government that creates the chaos is literally on national television telling you that the financial calamities that they caused, the larger big problems ahead of us coming with food insecurity and farmers is a great thing. Why? Well, it's going to help to implement a lot of, quote, environmental friendly policies. I didn't say it. She literally said it.
Less fertilizer is coming out of Russia. As a result, we're working with countries to think about natural solutions like manure and compost, and this may hasten transitions that would have been in the interest of farmers to make eventually anyway. So never let a crisis go to waste, but
Yeah, there might be some global food insecurity issues, but hey, at least people are going to compost now. Yeah, that's the thinking from this current administration, which of course has been overseeing the internal destruction of this economy from within. This as the price of almost everything is skyrocketing. This as the price of a trucker to conduct his business has gone up on average close to nearly $2,000. You have an electric car, you think you're safe? Think otherwise, as of course over 30 states now have just implemented new taxes, new fees, new regulations against electric cars, mainly because since, you know, the horrible Biden energy policies, the price of energy, gas, and diesel has gone up dramatically. People have bought electric cars. Local governments are not getting their pound of flesh. They're not getting their tax revenue from people buying gas. So now 30 states inside of the United States have literally created new taxes, charging people because they decided to buy electric vehicles. This is not a joke. The majority of governments inside of the United States are now charging you for driving an electric vehicle. All of this to save the environment, right, guys? They're very similar to, of course, those policies that also were supposed to save grandma. Those same policies that created a global supply chain crisis, disrupted businesses all around the world that have still not fully recovered, all in the name of public health, as the people implementing these policies aren't even following them themselves. This, as we have this latest photo of Dr. Fauci and Don Lemon hanging out recently, right before the White House Correspondents' Dinner, which Dr. Fauci said was too dangerous to attend, even though he was attending the parties beforehand with, of course, masked servants, and he himself was having a grand old time without, of course, a face diaper. But don't worry, if you have some discontent at, you know, the destruction of the global economy or health policies not being followed by health officials, the Biden administration has the perfect fix for you, and that is censoring your discontent. As of course, they just launched a new Ministry of Truth, Department of Homeland Security, online disinformation czar that of course is being run by a politically unhinged, extremely partisan leftist that now, with the full police and military might of Homeland Security, will be implementing policies where law enforcement will be used in order to deal with, quote, disinformation. Specifically, Nina Yakovich, the person heading this new disinformation Homeland Security Department, is citing laws in the United Kingdom, which she wants to implement here in the United States, where people literally get arrested for accidentally calling someone a bloke. Yes, the U.S. government is trying to pass laws and rules here in the United States where you could be sent to jail for calling someone a bloke. We actually did a video about this in the United Kingdom not so long ago. We, of course, will be linking that video down in the description below, where we randomly walked the streets in the United Kingdom, talked to random individuals when we ran into this man that literally was arrested and had to go to court because of accidentally calling someone a bloke. This was a random situation, a crazy situation, a very random one, a very synchronistic one, but made for an extremely important video showing you just how crazy things could get when the government tries to control what you could say and what you can think. These are the same very dangerous policies that some government officials want to implement here in the United States, which of course would destroy the First Amendment of this country. And according to former Congresswoman Tulsi Gabbard, she is suggesting that Barack Obama is actually behind this new Homeland Security Ministry of Truth office, as of course it was Barack Obama who called for government to do more about social media and free speech right after the acquisition of Twitter by Elon Musk. There also has been some opposition against this new Ministry of Truth by the governor of Florida, and now Congresswoman Lauren Boebert, who is now proposing a new bill that would eliminate this new disinformation czar from, of course, the Department of Homeland Security. As of course, almost every single day now, we are finding out that there has been disinformation, lies, propaganda, and just outright bullcrap sold to the American public, and that of course is not being called out by the government, by the corporate media, because they're usually spewing the bullcrap, as of course the people questioning it are usually censored, targeted, attacked, downranked in the algorithm, or demonetized as more and more accounts go dark for daring to see things that are not, of course, from the approved narrative and dialogue that the establishment wants you to see it from. And this is why we started LukeUncensored.com, our own members-only area where you get exclusive access not only to merchandise, not only to events, but also content almost every single day that is absolutely unfiltered, it's raw, it's real, and it's, of course, hyper-focused on trying to show you the true reality of the world that we live in with, of course, tips, tricks, on avoiding being a victim of the larger crap that the majority of people are dealing with because of the vast amount of disinformation out there. Today, we're specifically going to be talking about this voluptuous man with man-bazongas and his larger scary predictions, or I would say extortion efforts, as of course there's also a lot of problems with liver disease in young children. How did that happen? Well, we're going to be talking about that, plus a lot more, all specifically on LukeUncensored.com with yet another future video coming out later on today, where you can only watch it by just investing 50 cents a day into alternative independent media. We promise to grow, build, create more campaigns like BillGatesMeet.com, and all of this is possible because of your support and participation on LukeUncensored.com. Click the link down in the description below right now to find out more and sign up. Now, I think it's fair to say that the current situation in Ukraine has gone on a lot longer than a lot of the supposed experts expected. We told you that this is going to be a very long, drawn-out conflict that, of course, will be reverberating for a very long time historically and will be a mess similar to the one that we have seen engineered in Syria, like the one unfolding in Israel and Palestine. The hatred and violence is very real and is going to be lasting a very long time between the Ukrainians and the Russians. And whenever you have such hatred, whenever you have such violence, you of course have a lot of propaganda and disinformation surrounding it in order to propel it even further. This to me is the perfect representation of what we've been seeing unfold in this specific region, as of course political dissent and protest in Russia is banned. A lot of it is aggressively stopped, while in Ukraine the soldiers there have started to implement squads of soldiers that are literally going around Ukraine, tracking down, hunting, and arresting people for their comments that they made online. If they shared sentiments favorable to Russia, Ukrainian soldiers will show up to their house and arrest them, as highlighted by this latest video coming from the Associated Press, which is worth a watch.
Как-то ты не хорошо о флаге Украины, да, отзываешься? Да?
Извините. Ну да, это много ставил, я вам говорил. Ну я уже это даже передумал все это.
And of course, just like we told you from the beginning of this, the first casualty of war is truth, and there are governments, whether it's the Russian or Ukrainian ones, that are trying to control every aspect of information that's delivered to the people there, as of course there have been a lot of known propaganda efforts, as even the New York Post is now reporting that they got official confirmation from a Ukrainian official that, of course, this whole Ghost of Kiev fighter story didn't actually exist. It was a propaganda story. It was totally made up of an alleged 29-year-old fighter pilot dad that took down 40 Russian aircraft himself and then was shot down and taken out just a few days ago. Now, if you remember, we talked about this story from the very beginning and criticized it since, of course, the only kind of evidence or video supporting this was from a video game that was fake, that was making the rounds of social media and promoted by actual government officials and media outlets as if it was true, and when everyone knew it was from a video game. The story still continued, it was still propagated. There was a lot of merchandise and propaganda surrounding these ideas, and I would argue that these efforts actually do more harm to the Ukrainian side than good, as of course these propaganda efforts that are outright lies undermine a lot of faith and trust into these individuals that are spreading them, leaving a lot of people asking themselves, if they lied about this, what else are they lying about? Now, of course, there's propaganda on both sides, including, of course, Russia, where state television is literally running programming talking about a fictional situation where they would send nuclear bombs to, of course, the United Kingdom and absolutely eviscerate it from the map. This was from a latest Russian state television program that talked about using a major bomb in order to create a tsunami, which would send radioactive water all over the United Kingdom and totally submerge it underwater.
Термоядерная торпеда у берегов Британии поднимет гигантскую волну, цунами высотой до 500 метров. Такой водяной шквал является еще и носителем экстремальных доз радиации. Пройдя над британскими островами, он превратит то, что от них...
Yeah, and with that being the official line of Russian state television, I think it's fair to say that this situation is absolutely crazy and insane, as of course there's even a lot of Western media organizations still documenting how we are closer to a nuclear war than, of course, the Cuban Missile Crisis, according to some political analysts, according to some Russian academics, and especially with the advancement of nuclear weapons, especially with smaller tactical nuclear weapons, I think there's a potential for some kind of larger event to unfold here, which absolutely would be disastrous for everyone. This, as of course even MSNBC is admitting that there has been a fervent call for war on media. Even according to them, the Democrats and Republicans have become, quote, weary of war, highlighting how both political parties have become less interventionist, but the media hasn't. MSNBC also is one of the main organizations out there that has been beating the drums of war, pushing for a no-fly zone, which essentially would mean war with Russia. Now, this was an opinion piece released by MSNBC, which essentially criticized itself, which surprisingly has some hindsight here. As of course, it's important to note here that the military-industrial complex that feeds off of war, that makes record profits off of war, that enriches people through war, is a big influential part of corporate media marketing and, of course, social media marketing, presenting you a point of view which I would say directly would benefit their profits, equating to, of course, more conflict. That's why when it comes to news surrounding all the latest events that are happening here, I think it's important to question both sides. I think it's important to understand the insanity of it, talk about it honestly, and highlight opportunities and perspectives in order to try to de-escalate the situation, which is almost the exact opposite of what the corporate media has been doing. De-escalation is something that we need more of. Diplomacy is something we need more of, but peace talks have actually broken down, and it looks like this conflict is going to be most likely unfolding for a very long time ahead of us. Could be a year, could be 10 years, but it's pretty clear to see that there also has been a lot of energy discoveries made in the east of Ukraine and near the Odessa Crimea, Black Sea area, which of course are very prominent here when it comes to the larger perspective of what's happening here with the empires and of course their future. This as geopolitically, it's also important to note here that there's a big possibility that throughout this expanded conflict, there's an opportunity for China to, quote, seize the moment for themselves geopolitically and of course launch an attack on Taiwan. Taiwan is an extremely important geopolitical area that is intertwined with the U.S. military-industrial complex, and without Taiwan, without those major chip processing plants, the U.S. military-industrial complex would crumble. Whoever controls Taiwan at the end of this century will control the world. It's a key geopolitical strategic region that, of course, denies China the ability to be able to send their navy outside into the Pacific, as of course China is surrounded by U.S. allies, as it looks like we're headed towards a potential Thucydides trap and more problems ahead, as of course empires are trying to secure their resources for their future growth and expansion. Lots of things that are happening are absolutely crazy, and they're only going to get crazier from here. I'm going to be detailing that, and I usually do on LukeUncensored.com, but if you thought what I said in this video was helpful to make you understand the larger geopolitical picture, share this video with your friends and family members. It's more imperative than ever. If you thought I said anything that was incorrect or wrong, let me know. I'm not perfect. No one is, but I'm willing to hear people out, especially when they have constructive criticism, especially when they have the data and evidence to present to me that prove that I was wrong. Sometimes I was. Humility is a strength, in my opinion, and if you have some time, definitely check out this video that I shot in the United Kingdom with this bloke, which I hope I could still say for now, as of course the Ministry of Truth with the Department of Homeland Security probably is watching this video very closely. Let's enjoy the freedom that we have for right now. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you, and this is why I love you guys. Stay tuned for a lot more here on wearechange.org.